Okay, we're back. Jeff Miller of the Jeff Miller Consulting Alliance. Jeff, welcome again to the podcast studios here in Gaithersburg.
Good to be back, Charlie. Thanks.
And Jeff, last time we talked a little bit about talent assessment, but today we were going to talk about rituals, repetition, about getting yourself used to doing new tasks and old tasks, and you had some interesting anecdotes that we're going to dive into. But let's talk a little bit about, whether you were saying whether it's sales or otherwise, talk about daily rituals a little bit.
I think when you look at people who are the most successful at what they do, regardless of the field that they do it in, the success is born out of the fact that they have things, they have rituals, they start their days the same way, they rehearse, they practice. There's a certain continuity and consistency in what they do. And maybe a great way to kind of position this or illustrate it. So I've got an older brother. And for the last 45 years or so or more, one of the things we always talked about was going down to watch some spring training baseball.
Oh, man.
And I've been after him for years to do this. And it seemed that there was always a reason not to. So finally, as an aside, I called up his wife. I decided this year I was going to do a different strategy.
That is different.
I called up his wife, and I said, my sister-in-law, Sue, I said, Sue, just do me one favor. Tell my brother the following. We are not getting any younger. That night, my brother called me, and we booked the trip.
It was the not getting any younger tour.
Yeah, so something like that, yeah, I guess. And it was great. It was the first time in how many years we actually shared a hotel room, and it was just really cool.
Yeah.
It was just the two of us. And we go down to Port St. Lucie because we're Met fans, and we're watching these $1 million athletes, 10 million, 20, 50, 70
Yeah, I
million
don't even know
athletes,
anymore.
right?
Yeah.
And they're taking ground balls, and they're shagging fly balls, and they're bunting, and they're doing the same thing that they've done 100,000 times since they're 10 years old. And that's where the success is. Sure, there's talent, but then there's the nurturing of the talent.
Yeah.
The book, The Outlier, talks about that. It talks at the Beatles. Yeah, the Beatles just burst on the scene after they spent 10,000 hours of practice.
I was going to say, we've got a lot of comparisons in the music industry.
Yeah.
Practice.
So that whole sense of I've got the talent, but what am I doing with it? And what you're doing with it is you're exercising it and using it every single day the same way all the time.
I got to go to spring training.
It was great.
Oh.
It was great. Great picture of me and my brother and Mr. Met.
Oh man, you got to get me a copy of that.
Life is good.
we got to put that up with this show. So learning your rituals. I know when I was doing, I belonged to a local gym when I was working in Annapolis, and I would go in, and I felt so much better because I would go in every day, and for 45 minutes I patterned myself. It took a while to train myself to do that now, Jeff, but I did go in and did that workout, and I really miss it because I'm not doing that these days. And you get out of habit, and you get, but they say if you do it, for a couple of weeks very regularly, you can pattern yourself into it, trying to get that back. It's so exciting to think about that because then your body sort of craves those rituals too, whether they're mental or physical, I think.
Well, for sure, and there's the whole question of habits. It's 21 days, they say, to make or break it.
That's the one, yeah.
And visualization and the power of visualization in getting you through that, that's the most powerful exercise that one can do sometimes is to actually sit down and visualize how would my life be different? How would I feel? How would I look? How would I experience life if I was able to make this change?
Right.
Which the whole question of changing is subject for another podcast.
Oh, you can go on for a long time on effective change and ineffective change, I'm sure.
And sometimes we feel we don't know where to start. And the fact of the matter is there are ways to visualize those changes and then put something in place in order to help actualize and experience the change.
I'd love to talk about that some more. Yeah, that's very fascinating to me because that's so important to everyone. There are changes that we do want to make. and get past the visualization and the actualization. I think that's really exciting. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. I look forward to more conversations with you in the future, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Charlie.
'73 men sailed her from the San Francisco Bay. Rolling off of the ship, and here's what they had to say. We're calling everyone to ride along to another shore. We can sail our lives away and be free once more. Nobody heard them calling, nobody came along. They were too busy watching all those raindrops fall. Then the storm came a rolling.